So for this first project, we're going to be working with a file called HC Report, and that is in the EL1C2 folder. And you should have a series of folders that you already downloaded and extracted. You want to make sure you're opening the file from the extracted folder, the one that does not have the zipper on it. We're going to go ahead and open HC Reports. And we're basically going to be adding some calculations to this using formulas and functions. So we are going to start by activating D3. Now you'll probably have to click on Enable Editing in order to change this. And make sure your active cell is on D3. And normally when I enter formulas, I pretty much always use the point method because it's actually more accurate. All calculations start with an equal sign. So whether you're doing a formula or a function, you always start it with an equal sign. And rather than typing the cell references, I actually point to the cell and I click. And the reason I like to do that is to avoid typos. And also, I think it's a lot faster. So I've clicked on C3. Now I'm going to manually type in a minus sign. And if you have a numeric keypad, in the upper right corner of that keypad, there is a minus sign. You don't have to press Shift or anything. You can just press the key. And then I'm going to click on B3. So I've got equals C3 minus B3, and I'm going to go ahead and press Enter. And rather than key that formula in for every single row, there are a couple different ways that I can actually copy the formula. So what I'm going to do is use a little technique using a command that's up on the ribbon. And I'm going to basically copy the formula into all of the cells that I've selected. So I'm going to start on D3, because that's the one that has the formula. And you'll notice I have a block plus sign here. And I'm just going to drag it down through D10. And then I am going to go to this little editing group here, and I'm going to click the arrow next to fill. And I'm going to select down. And what that's going to do is it's going to look at the very first cell in that group that I highlighted and copy that formula to all of the other cells in the range. So I'm going to go ahead and choose down. And then if I click, you can see that it did copy the formula. And Excel is smart enough to know that it needs to adjust the row when we're copying from one row to another. And this is called relative cell addressing. And Excel is designed this way so that you only really have to enter a formula or a function one time. And from that point on, you can copy it. Now at this point, they do want us to save. And so I'm going to go to Save As. I'm going to keep it in the same location. I'm just going to kind of click at the beginning here and put a 2 and a dash in front of it and click on Save. And you can see up at the top that it took my change and now it's showing the new name. And at this point, we're going to edit some of the cells and change the values. And what you're going to notice as we change the values is that our calculation is going to reflect that change because the calculation is based on values in the actual and the planned column. So we're going to go to cell B4 and we're going to change that to 46,425. And then we're going to go to cell C6 and change that one to 60,000. And then we're going to go to B8. We're going to change that to 57,415. And then we're going to go to B9. And we're going to change B9 to 14,115. And as we change the values, if you were watching, you should have noticed the difference column adjusting. Now we're going to go back up to D3, and they want the accounting format there, and 0 decimals. So we're going to go ahead and click the dollar, because that's the accounting, and you'll notice it automatically does put in 2 decimals. So we're going to choose decrease decimal, and we're going to hit that twice to get rid of the decimal places. And we're going to go ahead and save.